I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I already had it. I feel like I've never done it before. Might as well just have, you know, then you don't have to worry about it. Yes. I don't know what the protocol is.
Oh, there it is. I was just going to ask. Somebody. Good, buddy. Oh. Yeah, you too. Where were you? I'm back up with Kelly's parents. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Well, it's with all my movie plans.
Were you going to go to the game and all that? Or
No, I just had like a lot of friends down there. Down there like a bunch.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, like, that was the thing. It's like you go down there and it's like, oh, everybody's here. You know, like, we could have literally like spent every day hanging out with them. So, it's like, okay, we'll hang out with you. We played one day golf with, we played at the, so you know the Boca Country Club?
Yeah.
They have the one that's by the water, and then they have this other course that was like up 95, a little bit north, like near Delray.
Oh, okay.
So I think Boca sold it to the town of Boca, or the country club sold it to the town of Boca a few years, like a year ago. No, not even a year ago. Like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And so they're converting it now to a municipal course.
Oh, is that
and
good?
It's in a good. I mean, I think like it's in a little bit. Like, they've got to do a bunch of work to it, but it's a really nice like country club type course.
That's great.
That now you can just jump on and play. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun.
Right?
Yeah. So I played with Pete and with Rob and her cousin Steve. So like,
cool.
I think he was the only person like outside the family that didn't live in the building that I saw.
That's cool. That's fun, bro. That's a good time.
So how are you feeling? You good?
Oh, yeah. I'm okay. Regular. Roll started like actually physical therapy. Shave.
Good.
Went to ski in March.
Oh, nice.
We're supposed to go to New Mexico.
So where are you going?
I don't know yet. We're going to book a trip. We're going to get started now. We're going to grab a seat.
One day a week after
Can you hear me in the back? You can't.
Don't believe me.
All I hear is myself. And it's Jake Cohen.
Joe?
He's coming.
Oh.
You can stand up if you want. And Joe.
Stick you. Brother? Alrighty then.
The children are on the
Over the heart. And then the siblings and the spouse.
No.
No. It's Joseph.
Oh.
I don't know where they are.
Good. I got it.
Should it be on the left?
His is right.
Oh, he just is. Okay.
So So I'm going to ask you to repeat after me.
Okay.
Baruch,
Baruch,
Atah,
Atah,
Adonai,
Adonai,
Eloheinu,
Eloheinu,
Melech,
Melech,
Ha'olam,
Ha'olam,
Dayan,
Dayan,
Ha'emet.
Ha'emet.
Praised are you,
Praised are you,
Adonai our God,
Adonai our God,
who rules the universe,
who rules the universe,
who is
who is
the judge of truth.
the judge of truth.
Adonai Natan, Adonai Malkah, Yehi Shem Adonai Mavarah. Adonai has given, Adonai has taken. Praise be the name of Adonai.
Amen.
Thank you. Okay. And then, Kevin.
You're welcome.
One heart.
Excuse me. You're going to be cleaning it together.
Yes.
Okay. The only instruction I have is we're not supposed to touch the microphone.
Okay.
So wherever it's standing, it's set. Hopefully it'll be in your right.
Okay.
They don't want us touching it because
Sure.
you can take your mask off when you talk.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. We are here this morning to mourn the sudden, unexpected passing, but also to honor the life of Francine Zacharias. She was a human being utterly unique in all of God's vast creation. Her absence will be felt forever by those who knew and loved her, but so too will the memory of her endure eternally in the heart of everyone gathered here today, ensuring that her presence will always be close at hand. May God comfort all those who grieve, and may Fran's memory be a blessing for the world. My name is Ed Feldman. I'm honored to have been asked to officiate at the service this morning and a little bit later at the cemetery in tribute to Fran. It's customary to recite one or two psalms at the beginning, which I would like to do, and then I will give the eulogy. Part of it was contributed by Fran's daughter, Cher, and then two of her daughters, Dana and we'll have other memorial prayers here at the funeral home. Mizmor David, Adonai Roi Lo Achsar. V'nodesh Yarviseni Almei Menuchot Yana Aleni. Nafshi Yishovev Yancheni B'mai Blei Tzedek Laman Shemo. Gam Ki Elech P'gei Tzalmabet Lo Ira Ra Ki Ata Imadi. Shiftecha Mishantecha Hemo Yenachamuni. Ta'aroth Lefanai Shulchan Neged Sorarai. Tishanta V'Shemen Roshi Kosi Rabaya. Ato V'Chesed Yurdufuni Kol Yemei Chayai. V'Shavti B'Beit Adonai L'Orach Yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He has me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He guides me on paths of righteousness. He revives my soul for the sake of his glory. Though I walk in the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod do comfort me. You set a table in sight of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall abide in the house of the Lord forever. That is known as the 23rd Psalm. And the next one I will recite is Psalm 121. Esainai El Harim Me'ain Yavo Ezri Esainai El Harim Me'ain Yavo Ezri Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Ba'aretz Ezri Me'im Adonai Osei Shamayim Ba'aretz. I will lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? The source of my help is the Lord, creator of heaven and earth. He will not let you falter. Your guardian does not slumber. Surely the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. He is at your right hand to protect you. The Lord your keeper gives shelter. The sun will not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. The Lord will preserve your soul. Adonai yishmor tzecha uvoecha me'ata v'ad olam. God will guard your going and coming from this time forth and forever. According to several family members, if it was up to Fran, there would not be a eulogy today. She would prefer that we not talk about her and not praise her. The people who knew her knew all about what she did. They don't need to hear me talk about it. But I think it's appropriate that we take a few minutes to share some thoughts and highlights of Fran's life, hopefully for the benefit of the family and everyone here. One of the themes that I discovered about Fran, I knew about it, but not the extent of it, and that is cooking. When Fran lived in Miller section of Gary and belonged to the congregation Bethel in Gary, she was part of what was known as the Kiddush Club, and the ladies made latkes for Hanukkah and hamantashen for Purim and lunches on Shabbat for the congregants. And she did that for a number of years. And then when the congregations merged into Beth Israel and Hammond, she continued with the ladies there in preparing the meals, probably for 25 years, I would say, after that. That was something that brought her a lot of pleasure. A lot of different activities. She was in a weekly mahjong group. She was in a monthly book club. She played tennis with Werner. She loved music. And she had a subscription to plays in Chicago where she took the train downtown and they walked to the theater and also the Performing Arts Center in Munster. She volunteered at Community Hospital in Munster for over 30 years. I knew her when I went up to the information desk and she greeted me, and found out what patient you were visiting and gave you the visitor's pass or what room number to go to. I thought that was her only responsibility. But turns out she also managed the gift shop. She conducted bingo games for the patients. She took a cart to the different patient rooms with magazines, I assume snacks, other items to take to the patients and try and cheer them up. So she was very much volunteering community activities and charitable activities. Also, she established and administered the Henry Zacharias Charitable Fund at CBI for many years. And funds that were collected were distributed to deserving recipients. She, of course, raised 4 children. Danny, Zechronah Livracha, may his memory be a blessing. Cheryl, Joe, and Bob. She was a very devoted mother. She was also devoted to helping take care of her parents, Albert and Molly Rosen, and Werner's parents, Herschel and Erna Zacharias, both of blessed memory. So I was wondering, what did she do for herself, for her own enjoyment? And one item I discovered was travel. After Werner retired, they took numerous trips to Europe, Japan, China, Australia, New Zealand, several trips to Israel, so that she could experience different cultures. They took cruises, they took summer tours, they traveled with other couples, they took members of their family on some of these trips. They went on trips sponsored by the synagogue. And Fran usually brought back art objects from various countries. And there was always a story behind each item that she purchased that she brought back. And she very much enjoyed these vacations and experiences. Fran connected with so many people through the synagogue, the hospital, her neighbors. She knew somebody wherever she went. She gave attention to each person and made you feel special, which is what you were to her. Fran's daughter, Cher, sent me some of her thoughts about her mother and asked me to include them in this eulogy. And instead of interjecting them in different places throughout my talk, I thought it would be more appropriate if I read the entire message that Cher sent. So these are Cher's words. My mom was a simple person with simple values. She loved her family more than she could put into words, and she believed in giving back. She loved to cook and bake because it made other people happy. She cooked when people were sick and was always there with baked goods to brighten their day. She still made holidays for her family and loved doing it. She volunteered at Munster Community Hospital, which was her second home and her second family. She loved people in all walks of life, and they loved her back. She brought joy and happiness when she walked into a room. But to talk about my mom, I must also talk about her son, my brother, Joe. He was her morning coffee buddy for the last 30 years. Every morning, Joe has been not only her friend, but also her confidant. Her days were filled with joy at the mere thought of him. He was an unbelievable son who has devoted his life to his parents, and I'm thoroughly grateful to him for his devotion. My parents' mantra in life was family first, and I know that their lesson was not in vain. Bob, Joe, and I have learned from wonderful examples just how important family is, and hopefully it will continue to be passed on for generations to come. Thank you, Sheriff, for those beautiful words. In addition to Joe's daily visits with his mom, I learned that her son Bob also visited and more recently called Fran every evening to make sure she was okay. So she was being checked on in the morning and again in the evening on a daily basis. Bob was with her at the hospital last Monday, and he expressed to me some disappointment that due to her condition, the family didn't get to talk to her and say their final goodbyes, which occurs if the person is able to communicate when it's coming to the end. However, he said she passed away in her sleep. It's peaceful and tranquil, so she didn't suffer. So this was better for her, and he believed that she knew how much everyone in the family loved her. So keeping with Cher's theme of family first, I should first mention Fran's brother, Jeffrey, who I believe is the person here who has known Fran the longest of anybody in the room. He is 8 years younger than his sister Fran. Obviously, they grew up together. They were very fond of each other and had a very close relationship for many years. Fran created her family with her husband of over 65 years, Werner, Zichronah Livracha, may his memory be for a blessing, who passed away 6 years ago, also at the age of 88. Fran was most proud of their children, Danny, of blessed memory, Cher and Roger, Joseph and Sandra, Robert and Robin, and her grandchildren, Dana and Adam, Lauren, Josh and Hannah, Allison and Alex, Samantha, Shoshana, and Jeremy, and her great-grandchildren, Harper, and Brody. She was always happy to talk about them, brag about them a little bit. She crocheted baby blankets for each grandchild and great-grandchild, I was told. She stayed with the family for several weeks to help with the new baby, and they all brought her the greatest joy. So representing the grandchildren and the great-grandchildren, I would now ask Dana and Lauren to come up and share some thoughts with us.
I don't public speak, so this is difficult. We are Dana and Lauren, first and second oldest grandchildren. How lucky we are to be able to call Fran our Nani. To us, Nani was not just a grandma. She was so much more than that. She was always that get down on the ground and play kind of grandma. Sleepovers at her house were the best. We would sleep in the same room, have sugar eggies for breakfast, and hit every playground in a 20-mile vicinity. She would let us put goofy makeup on her, and we'd give her crazy hairdos. And as silly as she looked, she would leave it like that for the rest of the day and go out in public. Endless hours with us at Celebration Station and Wright's Barnyard. She took us shopping at the South Lake Mall and let us buy outfits and clip-clop shoes that made our mom cringe. She spoiled us rotten, but by far the best thing she ever gifted each grandchild were our hand-stitched baby blankets. I proudly admit that after 42 years, I have not slept a night without mine. And I have it on good authority, without naming any names, that all of her other grandchildren are still equally as fond of theirs. Although we lived 50-some miles away, ever since we can remember, Nani was always there for everything. Whenever we invited her to be somewhere with us, she would say, "Well, I was waiting for you to ask." She never missed an opportunity to be together. If we were sick, she hopped on the bus to O'Hare to come nurse us back to health with her chicken stew and her nonstop back tickles. And for some reason, her tickles were the absolute best. She never missed a birthday party, a recital, a skating competition, a graduation. She was there taking homecoming and prom photos. She saw us off on the overnight cat bus, dropped us off at college. She was there to try on wedding dresses. And she was there for the birth of her great-grandchildren in Providence, Rhode Island, and then again in New York. There wasn't an event or a milestone in our lives that she missed.
If you were lucky enough to know Fran, you knew that she was a master baker and cook. If you were in her inner circle, she fed you well. She loved finding new cookie recipes in magazines and perfecting the same old passed down recipes. In college, she would often send her grandkids monthly homemade cookie packages and joke that the mailman might steal them for himself. She insisted on hosting and cooking for almost every holiday by herself, and she effortlessly spent countless hours teaching us the family recipes, how to make kreplach, sweet rolls, and the most unique matzo balls, so that we could keep her special recipes in the family generation after generation. Aside from her being the best grandma, Nani will be remembered for her endless hours spent volunteering at Munster Community Hospital, where she worked in the gift shop, entertained the sick with virtual bingo, and delivered flowers. For over 30 years, it was her happy place. Nani was strong and feisty. She was selfless and giving, and she never complained. She was easy to be around. She had many friends. She was a devoted wife, a wonderful mom, and an unbelievable grandma. But above all else, she and Papi taught us the importance of being a close family, instilling and maintaining strong Jewish values and traditions, and promoting unconditional love. Every one of her 7 grandchildren had a special bond with her, and she made each of us feel like we were the most favorite. When my mom called Nani's cousin Eunice the other day to tell her of her passing, Eunice reflected on how Nani raised her children and how good her kids were to her. She said, if Fran sneezed, all of her kids came running with Kleenex. And the truth was, that's how she was with all of her children and grandchildren, and that's how we wanted to be to her.
I've learned something this week, that life can change in the blink of an eye. I feel cheated of time I still wanted to spend with her, cheated of another phone conversation, another hug, cheated of another phone check-in just to say I love you and I miss you. On birthday calls, she would always joke if she should reverse the numbers in her age. But this year, for the first time, she said to me, Dane, getting older is okay. Every year and every phase of my life is my favorite. We can all agree she left us too soon, but she left us with so many special memories, and we are back beyond lucky to call her ours. Love you, Nani.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Lauren. Very, very moving words. I hope you can tell from everything you heard this morning that Fran led a full and meaningful life. The family has requested that if you choose to make any donations, that they be made in her memory to the Cancer Resource Center of Community Hospital in Munster. May Fran's values and service to the community be an inspiration to all of us. If you can, I'll ask you to please rise for the memorial prayer. El Malay Rachamim, Shochem Bamyomi, Hamsei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Ashchina, B'mahalot Kedoshim U'Tehorim, V'Zohar Harakia Mazirim, Et Nishmat Fruma bat Aharon, shalcha leolama, Began Eden, tehei menuchata, Ana bal harachamim, Hastireha b'seter, kenafecha leolamim, Utzror b'tzror hachayim, et nishmata, Adonai hu nachalata, v'tanuach v'shalom ha'mishkava, v'noma, Amen. O God, exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Francine, Zacharias, who has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the worthy and righteous deeds that Fran performed in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. The Lord is her portion. May Fran rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. Please be seated. Eternal God, who comforts mourners, the life of one we love and long for is now a memory. Although our gratitude for that precious life is great, our sadness over this loss can sometimes overwhelm us. You, God, are the fountain of life. By your light do we see light. Illumine our darkness, send us comfort and consolation. Help us to embody the worthy qualities of our beloved friend. Grant us the determination and strength to extend that life by helping us enrich the lives of others. Thus will Fran's presence continue among us. Thus will your family's life, continue in spite of your loss. Thus will her memory endure as a blessing forever. And let us say, Amen. This concludes the service at the funeral home. In a few moments, we will be going to the cemetery, those of you who are able to join us. I will tell you in advance, you probably saw the weather forecast, or you heard the weather forecast, or you felt it when you came into the funeral home today. The temperature is somewhere around 12 degrees with a wind chill of below zero. So we are limited in time at the cemetery to 10 minutes. So if you're concerned about time of going, you're not sure, that's our rule from the cemetery staff, the crew, because they're going to be out there waiting while we're doing their work there. And so we will just have a couple of prayers that we usually recite, and mourner's Kaddish, and ceremony of putting dirt in the grave, and the closing prayer. So it'll be, as short as we can do it. We'll keep it to 10 minutes. And because of all the restrictions and concerns for health and safety, there will not be Shiva this evening, a service or visitation for condolences as we would like to do ordinarily. Thank you all for joining us this morning, and I'll turn it over to Kevin.
If you're going to be going to the cemetery with us, we'll be out on the lot to help everybody get lined up. We're going to ask that you put your headlights on and your flashers, your hazard lights. If you're one of the pallbearers, we'll need your help out here in the lobby. And if you're one of the pallbearers, we're going to need your help at the cemetery as well. Otherwise, this concludes the services here at the funeral home, folks. If you'd like to step out to your cars now, please.
Hey, Rod?
Yeah.
You're one of
I know. Don't worry.
Yeah, they did a nice job. Thanks for coming. Okay, get my
Do you need to get my card?
Harper, see ya. Brody, see ya.
Where am I going?
I don't know. But they,
Adam's gonna take the kids back there.
okay.
Right, all right. Is the person at your house? All right, I'm in. If Adam takes the kids, is there a garage code? How does it? Yeah, 9201.
Bro, do you remember that?
9201, enter.
9201.
9201. I'll see you soon,
huh?
Bye-bye. She's supposed to be there by noon, I think.
Brody, drop off your
What
present.
time is it? That's what my other. But you can get in, just go in. Hey, Dane,
Okay.
let Dad give,
I got that.
the two.
Got it?
Yeah. Where are the pallbearers supposed to be?